Chosen Philly, what's up, man? USCJ here. It's the top of the morning. It's the top of the morning. Listen, man, we had an opportunity to reflect back on this game yesterday, and there are a couple of things that I want to talk about. Listen, real quick, before I get started, I will be going live, and I will have a guest on today. I'm thinking around 4 o'clock p.m. West Coast, 7 o'clock East Coast time. Wow, this game was rough. This game is rough to think about, but let's get into this real quick. I'm just going to give you a couple of thoughts. I'm getting ready to head to church. But here's the thing. We had a defense that stepped up. You see Mason Cobb there. You see Eric Gentry. A defense that really, they knew what they had to do. But here's what I'm going to say about the defense, because a lot of people are going to make reference to the Michigan offense. We know we had plenty of time to make preparation for the offense. We had plenty of time to prepare. But here's what I'm going to say. Our offense has to help out our defense. And I'm not really even particularly going to talk about the wide receivers. Yes, there were some situations going on as it relates to the receivers, but the offense has got to help the defense from an offensive line standpoint. That's the number one thing. Let me take that back. The number one thing is going to be Coach Lincoln Riley's play calling. The play calling has absolutely have to be better. We play call so conservative. I mean, some of the things that we saw, even in the LSU game, we pushed the ball down the field way more. But here's another aspect that I'm going to talk to you guys about, which is the offensive line. If we see a situation with the offensive line, and we know that the offensive line is having some issues off the edge, why not adjust the play calling? Because you're only going to have about 2.5 seconds, maybe 2 seconds to get in there. Josiah Stewart coming off the edge was constantly coming off the edge and getting around Elijah Page. Why not scheme up a play? You guys know that we're going to have to run some type of bootleg, some type of play action, some type of something that's going to call you. One thing we can't do when you're talking about the best defensive line in the country, and Michigan has the top 3 players in the country. So why not scheme up something other than running Woody Marks up the middle at Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant and continue to just get it? Why not run some read option, some RPO stuff? And here's what I said. And I think some might take it the wrong way. Some might say, look, we can't do that. But you guys remember in the Holiday Bowl when we had Miller Moss in there, and Miller Moss lights out, throwing dime pieces. And we're going to get it to the receivers too, catching the ball and dropping the balls. But here's what I saw. Do you remember when we ran like an RPO? It was a play where Jensen came in there and he took out Miller Moss for just a minute. Here's what I'm going to say. For a more athletic defense like a Michigan, like a Georgia, guys who are coming off extremely fast, I suggested during the game that possibly just changing up, because they already know they schemed up for Miller Moss. They schemed up for that. And you know our offensive line at this point has a vulnerability, and we know that it's collapsing. So why not bring, just for a couple of plays to run some RPO stuff, why not bring Jada Maiava in? That's part of the head coaching job. Bring Jada Maiava in and help out Miller Moss. Miller Moss was getting beat down to the ground, and it makes no sense to continue to have him in there while we trying to pursue down the field. So my thing is, bring Jada Maiava in. Once he gets the first down, bring Miller in, because Miller is the more accurate quarterback. Miller is the guy that's going to get it down there. And we saw what Miller did. Hit Jacoby Lane in tight spaces. And you see, here's another thing that somebody brought up on my show. They said, USCJ, they said Miller, he threw in tight spaces, but here's one thing that we got to recognize. Our receivers, some of them, not all of them, and we're going to call it like it is. And let me say this. If some of them come on here and they see this, look, you guys already know USCJ love you, but we got to call this like it is. Our receivers, some of them, Jacoby Lane, you see him, that ball was thrown in a tight spot, because of the fact that Miller Moss trusts our receivers. So they trust him to go up there and get the ball. So we saw Jacoby Lane go up there and get it, and he took it from the receiver. We saw where Kyron Hudson did the same thing on the sideline. Even though he didn't catch that ball, but he tried to go up there and get it. However, that's pick six. Going back and looking at it now, I realized that Zach Branch kind of took some steps back. And Zach, you know I love you. I got much love for you. But he took some steps back. You got to be more aggressive. You got to come up and take that from the receiver. And that's part one of that. Part one, I will say partly to blame is Zach Branch. The other part is Coach Lincoln Riley, even Miller Moss. I'm putting it on both because we all said, you guys remember there were some keys of the game. And I said, we cannot let Josiah Stewart have the penetration. He got penetration coming off the edge. We got to watch Kenneth Grant. We got to watch Mason Graham. It was 4 players. And then I said, we got to watch Will Johnson. We know that we're not supposed to throw on the side of Will Johnson, who they say is the best cornerback in the country. That was automatic. We know that. It's not supposed to happen. However, so I'm putting the blame on 3 pieces. I'm putting that play, the pick 6, on Lincoln Riley. I'm putting it on Miller Moss for throwing it in his direction. And then I put it on Zach Branch for not trying to pursue that particular play. I can't just put it all on one person. I hear people say, oh, it's Zach Branch. Listen, we never should throw in that direction of Will Johnson, period. That's the bottom line. And that, the coach should scheme up something to go in another direction. That's number one. Number two, as a quarterback, we know that guy's out there. He should have been identified before we came into this game. That's number two. And number three, I'm saying Zach Branch, we gotta fight for that. We gotta pursue that. And there's no disrespect to anybody, but that's how I see it on that particular play. Now, as we look at this game, you see here at the time of possession, USC had the ball for 30 minutes and 42 seconds to Michigan's 29 minutes and 18 seconds. Turnovers, you see it here, 2 turnovers for each team. You see here as well, total yards, 379 yards USC had on a good Michigan defense, 333 yards for Michigan, and it was all mostly rushing. First downs, we had 17 first downs. They only had 12. You look at the passing yards here, you see Orji, 7 for 32. I'm not even gonna get into that because that's a whole nother story. But here's what I will say about Orji and about the offense that they ran. You look at the fact that it's no way that you can keep our defense on the field and think that they're not going to get tired. The math doesn't work out. You get worn down. And for our offense to go and keep punting and for the defense to come, you're talking about a Big Ten, a big physical style offensive line who won the national championship, by the way. You're talking about a team that, and we're at their house, the sounds, the noise, all the things that are involved with this is all in the play. And you think that we can just keep kicking balls, kicking punts down the field and think that we're going to be successful and we're going to not get worn down? It's impossible. Yes, the defense has changed. This defense has made a dramatic change, and they really kept us in the game. However, the offense has got to help out the defense. The offense has got to make the right decisions. The offense they have to have sustained drives. The offense cannot just continue to kick punts and not allow our defense to get any type of rest. The offense was getting more rest than the defense. It's absolutely absurd. And so when you look at the time of possession, you see it there. Time of possession is almost even. So that means that our defense was on the field a lot more than the offense. And so look, Miller Moss, 28 for 51, 283 yards, 3 TDs, 1 INT. Woody Marks had a pretty decent game against a good stout defense, 13 carries, 100 yards, and then Zach Branch, 6 reception, 98 yards. When you look at the linebacker play, Eric Gentry is absolutely the MVP of this team. Already, I think he's up to 23 tackles. Saturday, he had 12 tackles, 8 solo tackles, 1 sack for loss. Absolutely balling. I saw in the beginning of the game, Easton Mascarenas-Arnold looked like he was just going. I mean, he was doing the doggone thing. Him and Mason Cobb both had decent games. However, Eric Gentry was the MVP. He continues to be the MVP of this defense. And, he played lights out. Jalen Smith was absolutely a monster. I saw him a couple times fight off some blocks and really just do his thing. Jacoby Covington, Braylon Shelby, all those guys. Even Barrett came in there. Anthony Lucas, Ramsey. So, there was a play, of course, at the end. We could argue. We could talk about it. Humphreys, the missed tackle that he had. But when you look at it, it looks like Ramsey could have came up and cleaned him up. It looked like Ramsey thought that the play was over, that he had him. But no, you got to, you have to, you cannot just assume the man is down. You have to go down there and tackle him. So look, I'm out of here. I'm probably going live tonight, this evening rather. And look, we just had to touch on it, man. This one falls on the play calling. This one falls on some offensive line play, and we cannot allow a team like Michigan to weigh on our defense like that, to wear them down, because the more they're on the field, big bodies like that. Listen, it's impossible for anybody, even a boxer's in a boxing match. He needs a certain amount of time to get in there and rest, to sit down in between rounds. But to keep kicking field goals, it's like you're not getting any type of rest, man. So look, I'm encouraged though. I'm encouraged because this team last year, it's no way we would have got blown out. But this team continued to fight. I'm extremely excited about this team. I think the future's still bright, and I think we got a lot to play for. So look, man, I'm gonna let you guys go, man. I'm just venting. I gotta go to church. I'm about to go pray. But listen, until later on, listen, everybody stay blessed. Fight on, fight on, fight on.